Hi everyone, I thought I'd make a couple of New Year's resolutions for the new decade actually. Um, my first one's gonna be about getting uh, taken advantage of. So in the past, I have been very naive, especially in social situations. So my first year moving out of my parents' home, I moved to Rochester, New York to pursue my PhD. And right off the bat, the very first month I was out of my parents' home, I had a situation where I am not sure if I taken advantage of, but I behaved very naively, and I think it worked to my detriment. What had happened was that my classmates and I, we had gone out to a restaurant, and at the time, most of my classmates were using cash, and I had a credit card, and I thought I could get some rewards by putting the whole bill on the credit card and then collecting everybody's cash. And at the time, it was my first experience using a credit card, and I had done this, and I used to be very socially isolated. And when I went out with all my friends, I probably lost a good part of my good judgment. And then you throw in the fact that, I have some food sensitivity. Sometimes when I eat too much, it's almost like drinking for me sometimes. I didn't drink that night, but the overeating can sometimes behave kind of like drinking in terms of judgment. I did that and I got home. It wasn't until the next morning that I realized I was short over $40 or $50, and when I asked my classmates about, I naively thought I should ask my classmates about what happened, and obviously nobody could really remember, and they just thought I was an idiot. And I kind of, not only did I lose the money, but I also lost face by trying to ask. This is very naive. I don't know if my classmates were out to take advantage of me. But I behaved naively, and I lost a lot of. I just lost a lot of face from trying to do that. A year later, one night, I had logged onto the computer, and a friend of mine had posted something on Facebook. We were in Rochester. I was living in Rochester, New York. My friend had posted on Facebook that he was stranded in Buffalo Airport. What had happened was that he was on his way home to Rochester, and because of bad weather or something, the plane had diverted to Buffalo, and he didn't have another flight home until the next day. And I don't know what I was after, but I offered to give him a ride back to Rochester. It was about 9 or 10 in the evening, and I actually drove out to Buffalo Airport to pick him up. I think what I was after was, at the time I was kind of lonely. I was hoping he would hook me up with a girl. We got back to Rochester and we just went on with our lives. He completely dissolved into whatever he was working on. I think he graduated a year before I did. And I guess we had a good conversation, but at the time I really felt taken advantage of. I really think I should have gotten something out of that deal. But whatever the case is. And then I had a few minor issues when I was working on my PhD. A classmate and I, we used to travel for conferences quite a bit when I was working on my PhD. My classmate, at the time he smoked cigarettes. I don't think he smokes anymore, but he would always book the trip to make sure the layovers were in places, in airports that had smoking lounges. At the time, I think he wouldn't like to fly through JFK. He wanted to go to Atlanta Airport because then he could sneak a few cigarettes before going. I can't remember the exact airports. But for me, I had another concern. I would opt out of the body scanners. And so if we had an international flight, I always wanted to make sure I had at least a 2-hour layover. Let's say I were going to Tokyo, right? And on the way back from Tokyo, I had to go through JFK Airport and then to Rochester Airport. I wanted to make sure I would have at least a 2-hour layover in JFK. And my advisor would be very upset because the ticket would cost $10 more, $15 more. And I told my friend, I'll pay the difference. She wouldn't let me pay the difference because it was kind of against their rules. But my classmate, he had free reign to do whatever because he smoked cigarettes. For some reason, smoking is a more acceptable reason than actually trying to take good care of your body. And I think part of it was my presentation of why I wanted the flight. Maybe I was a little bit too egocentric, if you will. Me. I want to make sure I don't get cancer. And my classmate was more said it in a way that elicited a little bit more sympathy. So this is a negotiation problem that I suffer from. So fast forward to today. About a year ago, I had a client. I was tutoring him in computer science, and he had a problem with putting his head in the sand. So he had taken an SAT exam, and he didn't know the score. It had been 6 months since he took it, and he never got the score back, and he didn't seem to have a care in the world. It turned out he had misspelled his email address or something. And on top of that, at his high school, I came to find out that he was so nervous about a number of exams that he decided to call in sick. And so he was 2 or 3 exams behind, and he didn't let me know any of this. I actually happened to accidentally stumble across it because one day he gave me his password so I could log on to his high school account. And that's when I found out he had all these incomplete grades and missed exams. And he finally fesses up to it. And this was right after Christmas break. I had just finished grading finals. I teach at a university. And I helped him compose a bunch of letters to several of his teachers and also the SAT board. I went over and beyond with this student, what I'm trying to say, hoping to get more business. And finally, we took care of some of that, but the next spring, they moved on. I didn't get any more business out of it. Mind you, I was finished grading my final exams. I really wanted to go away for that winter, but I stayed behind just in case he needed more coaching because I knew he was putting his head in the sand. I didn't know why, but I don't think he had family problems. He certainly didn't have an illness or a family issue. But he didn't let anybody know. His parents were shocked when I discussed it with them. He didn't think I would snoop on it. He thought he was giving me the password to print out something, but I just happened to see all these incomplete grades. They really stuck out. I really probably shouldn't have done that, but given that I did, I went over and beyond to compose the letters. I'm guessing he took it the wrong way, that I was sneaking up on him. But whatever the case is, I have a hard time presenting things. Just like with the airport issue, maybe the angle that I'm presenting it in could have been better. So that's something that I plan to work on in the next decade. Certainly in the next decade, I'm probably going to have children, and how I present things that I want my children to do will also be another angle where I'll have a lot of practice with this issue. Thanks for watching.